Hey everybody, it's Doug Schauf with the Make Maine Your Home team at Remax Oceanside. In this week's episode, we're going to talk me and my music career. Let's do this. All right, everybody. Today, we're going to have a fun episode this week. We're going to talk about, like I said, my music career. And I thought I would kind of talk about like how I got into playing some instruments, some bands that I was in, and ultimately how I moved to Maine, because how I got here is because of a band that I was in. So I'm going to jump right in. When I was younger, I started playing bass guitar.
Slap at the bass, mama.
And the reason I started playing bass was because I had a bunch of other friends. One was a drummer, one was a guitar player, and one thought that he could sing. So I was like, well, hey, we need a bass player. I'll do that. My parents bought me a bass, and I fell in love with it right away. I would just play for hours, like learning rock songs and all that. I was always kind of a rock and roll guy. So, all through like high school, I played in like jam sessions, things like that. I still play, now I just noodle around, but I had a blast learning the bass guitar. Just after high school, I decided that, hey, I wanted to, pick up guitar, 6-string guitar. And so I went out and bought a guitar and just started messing around on that. I maybe took some lessons, learned some heavy metal. And then I was talking to a good friend of mine named Matt. He's my best friend now, has been for a long time. He plays bass guitar. So obviously both of us couldn't play bass guitar. So I was like, hey, I play guitar. Why don't we get together and do something? So we ended up forming a band. It was 5 of us. We were called Black Wax. And it's funny that we're making this right now because Gilbert Gottfried just passed away recently, at least from the time that we're making this. And the reason we were called Black Wax is because Gilbert Gottfried said,
Why didn't you eat the hard black wax? That is the most nutritious part of the cheese. Eat the hard black wax.
That's why we were named Black Wax. So rest in peace, Gilbert Gottfried. He was a very funny man. So anyway, we started this band, Black Wax. We wrote our own music. It was very heavy. The times were the 90s, so it was that heavy grunge, I guess, style music. We loved it. We had a lot of fun playing gigs in the Buffalo, New York area. And then we decided to take a couple shows further out and travel a little bit. And my friend Matt, he had this big, giant brown van. We used to call it the Cow. It would just nonstop run. It was like one of these things, like you just, no matter what, it would fire up. But we had a couple shows in New York City. My father lived up in Bangor, Orono area, and my brother was going to school up there, so we ended up doing a couple gigs up there. We made a couple trips right in the winter, too. It was like the dumbest thing. It's funny what you do when you're 19, 20 years old. So we jump in this horribly unsafe, big brown van with all our music gear and 5 of us driving in the middle of winter down the New York State Thruway, going to New York City, going up to Maine. When we got there, my brother lined up a couple shows for us, and we played at a place called the Orinoco. It's no longer there, but it was like this hotel, like restaurant, bar / place. And we played a show there, and it was awesome. Like my brother got tons of like college kids there and stuff. I mean, the place was packed. My memory says there was like thousands of people there, but there was probably like 75, which was great for our style music at the time. We just had such a blast. We played a couple shows up there and fell in love with Maine and just being up here. And that's when we started to think, hey, we should maybe move out of Buffalo. And if my memory serves me right, the 5 of us were kind of like, we should move out of Buffalo. We should either move to Maine or Cleveland. Why, I don't remember. Ultimately, I think we ended up flipping a coin or something like that, and we decided to move to Maine. So we started to investigate. We didn't want to move all the way up to Bangor, Orono, so we decided to move to Portland. The summer of 1994, I was 21. I drove up to Maine, and I never looked back. Still here. So that's my story about coming here to Maine. And that band is the first time living away from our parents' house. So as you can imagine, it was a train wreck. We moved up in like June-ish. The band broke up by September. So that was the end of that band. And then from there, I played guitar for another local band here that we became friends with called Vicious Cycle. I had a ton of fun playing with that. After a few years, that band ended up breaking up for no other reason besides we just kind of all went our separate ways. And then I got back to the bass guitar. I played with a band called Hawthorne for a long time. We had a lot of fun doing that. That band was fun because coming from Maine here, we did a lot of shows in like New York, Boston, Philadelphia. It sounds more glamorous than it is. It was really just kind of us going to all these cities and partying and having a couple shows lined up, but it was a ton of fun. And that's my story about moving from Buffalo here to Maine. Imagine if we moved to Cleveland. What would happen then? Hopefully you guys enjoyed this quick story. That's my music career. We thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about that and shine a light on how I made it here to Maine and why I'm here and all that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions or comments, Matt, I want to see something from you because I want to know. I need you to fact check me, make sure I'm accurate. Anyway, hopefully this was fun for you. And remember, if you make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone.
Really good. I'm very glad I took the